Welcome to an American Homestead, podcasting live from deep within the Ozark Mountains at an elevation of 2,200 feet. It's 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, and it's good to be back. Got a lot of news stories we're going to talk about tonight. Got some news articles we'll show you. And how's everyone doing in the chat? I saw Diana was making pancakes. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I only eat once a day. I'm doing the OMAD diet, and so usually by the time evening rolls around, I'm on my Ticino tea. But pancake sounds awesome. I saw someone else in the chat was just finished with having burgers, made homemade burgers. That sounds good. You can't eat out anywhere today. You can't go to a restaurant, depending on where you live. So yeah, you got to make food at home. So glad everyone's here. Hit that like button before you check out tonight. Be sure to hit it now. Just go ahead and smash the like button right now. I'd really appreciate it. That lets YouTube know that there are people who actually watch and enjoy the channel. So I appreciate it. Anyway, lots of great stuff. Hey, hello from Northeast Oklahoma. Is the vaccine the mark? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Hey, Zach from the Gulf Coast of Texas. Let me know where you're at tonight. Let me know what you're having, what you're drinking. I'm having tea. I thought about, having a glass of wine tonight, but I was like, I'll just go with the tea. Scott Hutzler, how you doing? Let's see who else. Someone from Michigan. Hey, man from Michigan. David from Michigan. Snow is falling in Wisconsin. Gulf Coast of Texas. Hey, from New Mexico. We will not comply. Yes, no, we will not comply. Fried cabbage for dinner. I love cabbage. I love fried cabbage. I don't know if I've ever had fried cabbage before. That sounds good. I'm going to need to look up that recipe. Fried cabbage. I mean, I like anything fried. But fried cabbage, never heard of that one. Georgia, Alabama, Parkers Lake, Kentucky, Southwest Missouri. CM says coffee. Budweiser and apple pie here. That's funny. Central Oklahoma, Northern California. Oh, I'm sorry, James. You're in California still. Although Northern California, I heard, is like a different place than like Southern Cal. Shalom from Harvest, Alabama. Cabot, Arkansas. Southeast Missouri. Currently fasting, I'm sorry. Chicken breast and spaghetti, Northwest Arkansas. Ohio and Pepsi, Delaware. Pepsi? Northwest Oak, Arkansas. That's where I'm at. Massachusetts, North Carolina, Utah. Curried chicken. That sounds good. I'm not a big fan of curry, though, but it depends on what kind of curry it is. Tennessee will not comply. That's right. Exactly. Snowed in Wisconsin. A lot of people saying it's snowing in Wisconsin. South Carolina, Nebraska, North Carolina. What's NC, Arkansas? I said North Carolina, but Boise, Idaho, Southern California, unhappy face. New York, regretfully. Northeast Vermont. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. So, man, the world is just going crazy. So, everyone's talking about the lockdown still. I saw in New York, the gym owner in New York challenged Cuomo and won in court. That's a good sign. Because really, you can't pass these laws without a legislature, and the judge saw that accurately, thank goodness. And so, I don't know, it only applied to that one gym. So it sounds like other gyms are going to be bringing lawsuits against the governor as well. I think they should all do it. I know it takes money to get a lawsuit. Southwest Oklahoma, Japan, someone from Japan. South Central Oklahoma. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. We're going to go over some news articles, lots of cool stuff going on out there. Some of it's just makes you wonder what in the world's going on. But a lot of great news stuff going on. But see, the thing is, this stuff, the we will not comply attitude has hit the mainstream media. The mainstream media has finally gotten it through their thick skulls that people are not happy with everything that's going on. And they're finally starting to listen a little bit. At least it seems that way. Let me go ahead and move over here to my screenshot and put up the first article we got tonight. Is this one here. Can your boss make you take the COVID vaccine? And so that's something, I don't have a boss. I work for myself. I'm self-employed. And most of my background has been in web design, web development. And, I like being my own boss. I've been that way ever since I moved off grid. When I told my boss where I worked at before that I was moving off grid, he thought I was kind of insane. I gave up a really good job at a really good company. But I have never regretted it, even though at times, at first, it was very hard. But this is the question, is my boss going to make me take a COVID vaccine? This article here starts off, will the new COVID vaccines, let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. Will the new COVID vaccines be added to the list of mandatory inoculations for school kids? Can employers require their employees to prove they've been vaccinated? Can a business refuse to serve customers who've refused the vaccine? See, the very fact that these questions are being asked should make your hair on the back of your neck stand up. This is just absolutely draconian. Can a business refuse to serve customers who refuse? I mean, can you not order a pizza anymore? Is that what they're going to go for? I mean, the reason these questions are being asked is because there are people, in fact, out there in the world today who believe that you should not be able to, patron a business if you have not gotten the vaccine, because you're just making everyone, you're just dangerous. You're dangerous to society. You're dangerous to yourself. That's scary. The New Hampshire Department of Justice is issuing guidelines, and we've got a link to the guidelines, to address some of the difficult situations raised by the slow rollout of the COVID vaccine, such as the use of vaccination cards as so-called immunity passports. Another very scary idea. The purpose of this document is to provide employers, employees, and businesses with frequently asked questions and answers that may be used to evaluate their options and to assist in responding to inquiries from their communities. Among the questions this is New Hampshire, DOJ guidelines addresses, will the COVID vaccines be added to the list of mandatory vaccinations for schools? Not at this time. Not at this time. Can an employer require its employees to get a COVID-19 vaccine in order to come to work? Yes, but it's not recommended yet. Can a business require customers to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination in order to patronize that business? Generally, yes, but there is a potential legal hazard, as it is right now. In addition to the logistical challenges presented by rolling out a 2-dose vaccine over 6 months during a deadly pandemic. Good grief. Listen, folks, I've said this before. We all know people who have probably passed away from this virus. But it's not deadly. When you have a 1% or a 99.89% survival rate for anyone under the age of 70, that's not deadly. Okay, and we know these numbers are skewed. We know I showed articles last week of people who died in a shootout from a gunshot wound, and the death was ruled a COVID death. Now, I don't know what kind of bullets that guy was using, but I mean, the numbers are skewed. There's no doubt about this. There are political and privacy challenges as well, obviously. So these are some of the articles that I'm seeing that has got me scratching my head. Yes, employers could require it, says Senior Assistant Attorney General Jill Perlow, if there is not a disability or religious aspect or some other potentially discriminatory. See, everyone's about to get real religious real quick. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe everyone's going to find Jesus all of a sudden. That would be an allowable restriction that an employer could impose. Barring other necessary accommodations, businesses could require customers to reveal their vaccination status before entering their store, bar, or restaurant as well. And I've had friends tell me, I could just fake this. We could, maybe there's a way to. Guys, listen, they're already figuring out how to avoid any sort of fraud and any type of passport. Okay, they're gonna knock that down quick, fast, and in a hurry, and they'll probably use blockchain or something similar to ensure that this is not possible. Some private businesses, particularly airlines and the travel industry, are already interested in apps that could allow their customers to enter and store immunization information, test results, and other medical documents. So forget all this stuff about your medical history being private. No. That's all in the past. Because this deadly vaccine that supposedly even guns can cause, or to this deadly virus that even guns can now cause the death of, is overruling all of your liberties. Because the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna COVID vaccines have been approved through an emergency use authorization, the state does not intend to mandate these vaccines in any way and generally does not recommend that these vaccines or any other COVID-19 vaccine approved through an EUA be mandated for employees or customers. Scary world we're living in. Let's go to the next article. This one was mainstream. This was on Reuters. You can see up there, Reuters. When I saw this in the mainstream media, I breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief. The media is actually paying attention to this, because they're worried too, because they realize they're going to have to get these vaccines. And there are people, even in the media, who are skeptical of vaccines. See, it's the whole issue with vaccines and the danger of vaccines goes outside the scope of Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal, because there are liberals out there who have had their children, receive vaccines and seen the damage that they cause. And so when that happens to someone, or when it happens to someone close in the family, like it's happened to us, there's no way you're going to convince a mom who has seen this, who knows her child better than anyone else, when the damage has occurred, that you're never going to convince them now that vaccines are safe. And so this spans political spectrums. A doctor in Boston with a selfish allergy developed a severe allergic reaction after receiving Moderna's coronavirus vaccine on Thursday, the New York Times reported on Friday. So this was in the New York Times. Dr. Hossein, I'm not going to pronounce that, a geriatric oncology fellow at Boston Medical Center, said he had a severe reaction almost immediately after being vaccinated, feeling dizzy and with a racing heart. Now, feeling dizzy with a racing heart. Now, I have a couple friends I've been talking to about this nurse who passed out. And there is a giant conspiracy going on online right now about this nurse who got the shot and immediately passed out. And there are some people who are speculating that she is no longer alive. And, now that they came out with a photo of her, supposedly it was her, with the rest of her staff that she works with at the hospital. And they say, see, she's fine. She's right here. But people who knew her and people who worked at the hospital said, no, that's not her. That's another woman who works, named Amanda or something, who works on the staff there, who people in the past they called them doppelgangers, someone who looks like you. There's a doppelganger of this nurse who works on the same floor as this nurse and their friends, and that's who was standing out there in front. And so it's got the entire internet abuzz. And if you've never seen this yet, in fact, I saw some of the speculation hitting some of the lower mainstream news media, not the real mainstream media, but it had gotten some of the headlines that there are people who are talking about this and how this woman has not made any post. I mean, we just went through Christmas. Usually people make Christmas posts, during Christmas, and like all of her accounts have been deleted or they have no activity. Her family's accounts on social media have all been deactivated. So if you've not dove down into that conspiracy theory yet of that nurse who passed out, here we have a doctor immediately after being vaccinated felt dizzy and with a racing heart. Now, I mean, it just makes you think, right? It makes you think. Where is that nurse? I forgot what her name is. Tiffany? Her name's Tiffany. I think that's her name, Tiffany. I forgot her last name. David Kibb, a spokesman at the Boston Medical Center, said in a statement on Friday that Dr. felt he was developing an allergic reaction and was allowed to self-administer his personal EpiPen. He was taken to the emergency department, evaluated, treated, observed, discharged. He's doing well today. Where has he been? Have we seen him since? Anyway, that made national news, and yeah, that's something. All right, next article. Majority of Americans plan to delay COVID vaccine or not get it at all. A majority of American voters have no plans to get the COVID-19 vaccine right away, with a sizable percentage of that group saying they will never get it at all, according to a new Just the News daily poll with Scott Rasmussen. Among voters, 65% say they will either wait and see how it works, that they're in no particular hurry, or that they will never take the COVID vaccine. Here's a breakdown of the poll. Which of the following best describes your attitude about taking the recently approved COVID vaccine? I want to be vaccinated as soon as possible. Good grief. I want to wait and see how it works before getting vaccinated. I'm in no particular hurry, and I will never take it. So there's the poll, Scott Rasmussen poll that just came out. This came out today or yesterday? A couple days ago. It was on Christmas Day. I should say Saturnalia Day, for those of you who celebrate Saturnalia. I don't celebrate Saturnalia. I had a lot of Christmas wishes that came in, and I don't celebrate Saturnalia. COVID-19 vaccine doses began rolling out in the U.S. this month, with frontline healthcare workers and vulnerable elderly populations among the first to receive the novel new medicine. The novel new medicine. Next article. UK radio host under fire for highlighting low COVID mortality among healthy and young, calling for them to carry on living. You can't say that. You are not allowed to say that. A British journalist was accused of callousness and stupidity after sharing NHS figures showing that COVID-19 mostly kills the very old, and the very sick, and arguing that the young and healthy should go on with their lives. Talk radio host Julia Hartley-Brewer drew fire and fury online by injecting, I guess that's pun intended, some statistics into the incendiary lives versus the economy debate. Just 377 healthy people under 60 have died of COVID. That's not a typo. There are no zeros missing. Here's the tweet. There are no zeros missing. Yes, that's sad, but we have locked down an entire country for a virus that mostly kills the very old and the very sick. The rest of us should be free to decide our own risk. Interesting. And yeah, the talk radio host is being punished. I seriously doubt she'll have a job come Monday. The figure is accurate, if outdated. The latest weekly update from the National Health Service, England, up to December 23rd, puts the number of people under 60 who have died from COVID-19 in hospitals at no prior condition slightly higher at 388. Yeah, I mean, they shut down an entire country. They're shutting down an entire nation here, too. Over a 1%, less than 1% mortality rate for those under age 60. And again, I know people are suffering. I know there have been people who have died from this. But the numbers are absolutely skewed. There's so many reports of numbers being skewed from the hospitals. You get in a car accident and you die, and if you've ever had COVID, they list you as a COVID death. It's ridiculous. Let's see. This was an article I saw too. It came out. Yeah, watch MSNBC segment says having weddings in 2020 proves Americans are selfish, reckless, gaudy killers. That's right, folks. If you got married this year, you're selfish, you're reckless, and you're a gaudy killer. I mean, can you see how they're shaming people? I don't understand how they get away with this. And if there's ever a correction, if there's ever what's the word? I'm looking for a right word because I don't want to be too abrasive. If there's ever a reckoning that happens, I hope people don't forget the news media. Because the news media are the ones who are really guilty in promoting the fear. I mean, we know that there's the drug companies and other people behind all this, but the media is really the people who are promoting the fear. Folks, if you got married in 2020, you're selfish, reckless, and you're a gaudy killer. Just over a week ago, New York Magazine put out an article bashing people who have the audacity to get married, even though they're governors who are jet-setting to protest holiday parties and Biden celebrations told them to stay inside indefinitely without income. What a bunch of married jerks, right? How dare they do stuff while not even being rich and famous exceptions to the rules. Well, the author of that truly terrible and unbelievable self-indulgent tripe was on MSNBC Christmas week, Saturnalia week, for the annual left-wing tradition of trashing America on our biggest holiday. It's a tradition second only to bashing Christians on Christmas. That's true. Yeah, I just think this is insane. I can't believe people think this way. We are so conditioned to be sheep. I saw this photo today, and I laughed out loud when I saw it. This guy, he's sitting out in a snowstorm in New York City, outside of a cafe, and he's drinking a beer and eating his pizza. You really can't tell because I'm not going to play the video because you can get in trouble from YouTube for doing that. But yeah, he's sitting in a snowstorm, and he's eating his pizza and drinking his beer. And look at these people too. Look at the snow coming down. They're out there. Governor Cuomo, eat this. My tea is good. I'm having Ticino tea right now. Okay, and then I saw this one too. This was really hilarious. Here's one way to do some quick snow removal with a flamethrower. And I can't play the video again, but this guy, he clears his entire driveway with a flamethrower. Have you seen this video yet? It's going viral on Twitter and some other places too. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't know. Maybe those of you who are still braving Facebook have seen this video. This guy clears his entire driveway. And supposedly it's gotten to be quite popular of a way to do that. Here's another video up here where, it's not there anymore. But there's a couple people who have done this. And you can get these flamethrowers online, ordered online, delivered to your door. There's one, Kristi Noem, who's the governor of South Dakota. She is here pictured with her, or it's actually, I think that's a friend's flamethrower. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is presidential material. That's one of the reasons that when Sarah Palin came on TV holding an AR-15, she had my vote. That was it. Nothing else mattered. Kristi Noem holding a flamethrower. I'm all about it. Okay, if you want one of these things, you can get one here, xproducts.com. She's having a good time. Look at that. She's having a blast. I mean, who wouldn't have a blast with one of those things? $749.99 with tax, I'm sure, and shipping. And if you buy two, you get 3% off. You buy 3 or above, you get 5% off. And you can get it in both red and black. So she's holding the black version right there. Yeah, pretty neat. Delivered to your door, but you must read and accept the liability waiver available here. You got to make sure you hit that checkbox right there. And I think it says, I'm sorry, not legal in California or Maryland. So I saw a couple people from California. I don't know if I saw him from Maryland or not in the chat. But if you're in California or Maryland, I'm sorry. Until you get rid of your governor and all the Democrat legislators you have there, you're never going to be able to own a flamethrower. And that right there is cause to move out of California, in my opinion. But they have a number of different flamethrowers over at xproducts.com and some cannons. I haven't checked those out yet. Ammo blanks, high-capacity magazines. I was looking for AK magazines. I didn't see any. But anyway, if you want a flamethrower, there you go. It seems to be all the rage. Kristi Noem's got one. This guy in Kentucky, he's doing his driveway. He's got one. I mean, what's not to like? Flamethrower. All right, let me head back over to the chat and see what's going on over here tonight. And I figured I'd spend more time in the chat room tonight and just visiting with you guys. Okay, let's look at the chat here. Dustin Wells, if Palin had been holding an AK-47, they would have won the election. I don't know. Marshmallow's optional. Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need a marshmallow. I mean, when you're playing with a flamethrower, that's fun enough. But, could be fun. You could. Yeah, voting is dead. There's no voting anymore, and elections are over. There's no. I mean, watch. This guy who's the Pastor Warnock in Georgia, his ex-wife came on TV and said this guy was an abusive husband and gave examples, and it didn't do anything. The liberal media is still all about this guy, and it doesn't matter. They have put out over a couple million mail-in ballots. So you are guaranteed to have Democrats win that election because those will all be fraudulent. All those ballots, there's no proof of anyone actually signing those, actual real voters, and they're going to come in, and that election in Georgia is all about over. There is no election. There's no free elections anymore in this country. Biden will probably have, and I'm not telling you, listen, if you're in Georgia, I say go out and vote anyway. Vote. You need to vote. I'm not saying don't vote, but I'm just saying, man, there is no elections anymore in this country. It's over. It's done. If this guy, if they win, I mean, if a guy whose wife came out and said, hey, listen, he beats me, he ran over my foot one time, he's an abusive husband, and he still wins the election, there are no elections anymore. There just isn't any. Let's see. People say we're selfish for not wearing a simple mask. Yeah, I know. And you're really selfish if you get married, according to MSNBC. Yeah, it's Ticino. This is the... What is this? This is the Ticino. It doesn't say on the tag. It's the vanilla nut. It's got cobalt or something like that in it. I'm not sure. And it's got chicory and tastes kind of like coffee. But it's tea. It's got a little bit of vanilla flavor. It's got some fig in it or something like that. So I've been doing OMAD now for well over a year. I've been maintaining my weight for a year. It was about a year ago I met my goal weight, and now I've been maintaining now for a year. So I'm doing good. It's getting hot in here. I have this heater, this propane heater. I think I'm going to have to go over and turn it off. I think I'm going to do that. It's getting hot in here. So I'll be right back. 1 second. I should turn the camera around and show you. I don't know if you can see it with the darkness, though. It's too dark. 1 second. That thing can really get toasty. It gets really toasty. Okay, there we go. Now we're back. I drink dandelion ticino. I know I've got the dandelion ticino too. That's really good. I really like the dandelion ticino. I like tea. My favorite tea is Lapsang Souchong. It's a tea. It's a black tea, and it is smoked over pine needles. Smoked black tea leaves over pine needles, and it's. I like it. Some people don't like it at all. So it's like it's not one of these things that you either like it or you don't. That's where it comes down to. You either like it or you don't. Lapsang Souchong. I'll put it in the chat here so you can, because there are people like, how do you spell that? Lapsang Su. Now I can't remember how to spell it. Lapsang Su. Oh, yeah, I know how to spell it. Souchong. Lapsang Souchong. There you go. Lapsang Souchong. Yeah. What is your diet? It's called OMAD. OMAD. My late wife Jamie got me on that when she did it, and it was working so well for her. And I just couldn't believe it. She had struggled with her weight for a long time, and tried lots of different diets. And she started doing the OMAD, and she did fantastic with it. And I said, I want to do that too. And I started doing it, and she was kind of like my coach. So Zach is doing, OMAD, one meal. It stands for one meal a day. So I eat one meal a day. I usually eat around lunchtime. In the morning, I don't eat. I drink a cup of coffee, no milk, no sugar, and I drink teas. And I'll drink teas in the evening, and I'll just eat lunch. I'll eat a sensible lunch. And you do get hunger cravings, but it's not so bad. But the first 2 weeks are absolutely miserable. The first 2 weeks are just miserable. You're going to hate life. You're going to hate everything. And it's really good if you have a spouse there who can help you get through that period, help you get through that time, because you're not going to want to do anything. You're just going to want to sit in the fetal position in the corner because your body's resetting itself. Once you get past that 2 week period, you're fine, after you reset. If they're insistent on me getting the vaccine, then I will return the favor. Let it vaccine anyone? Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, there's no way I'm taking it ever. I posted on it was a video over at, I forgot what video it was. It was a YouTube video. And I said, yeah, I've just bought more ammo. And somebody said, you shouldn't tell anybody that. I'm like, you know what? That's how you keep the goon squad at bay. If you let the goon squad know that you have no, issue with putting them in the crosshairs, goon squads tend to stay home because they have families too. They have wants and desires, and they want to come home from work. And so they need to understand that there is an armed populace, the fourth branch of government, and that is the militia, that is the American people. And that's why our founders gave us the Second Amendment. And I know that's harsh rhetoric, it seems like, in the days we lived in, but we have been so comforted and spoiled with the American way of life for so long, we don't realize that empires rise and fall. And what we're seeing right now is the crashing of an empire. I watch Max Kaiser's videos from time to time, and he made the point today, him and his wife Stacy, that I think, is it 20% or 25%? So you take the existing U.S. money supply that's out there right now, like all the dollars that are in circulation right now, whether it's in digital form or in your wallet or in the bank or whatever, of the existing U.S. money supply right now, 20% of it was created just this year. 20 or 25% was created just this year. That's insane. Guys, that spells massive inflation. Absolute insanity. It's a mathematical certainty that we're going to go through some hard times, especially when Biden gets in. He's going to start printing monies like crazy and just, helicopter money everywhere to everyone. It's going to get worse. So I got a message from Kosher Surplus this week, and I mentioned them in the last live stream, and they were really grateful because there's a lot of you guys who went out there to Kosher Surplus, and because they do have ammo in stock right now. And they said they're going to send me a number of tracer rounds and some exotic shotgun rounds, something like that, to do videos on and to test and show you guys. So I was really grateful, and I said, yeah, I can't wait. They have some amazing products, especially their tracers. A lot of their tracers look amazing. And so they've got some really cool stuff. So he's going to send me a pack of a box of items, and we'll get that on camera for you guys and show you how it works, and it'll be a fun time. So Kosher Surplus, if you're interested, they do have ammo in stock, at least last time I checked, and that was a couple days ago. Isn't the new USA where politically correct words rule? Yeah, I know. People assume you have COVID just because you don't wear a mask. 35% this year, actually. 35%? Two people said 35%. So maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Max Kaiser. He said 25%. So if you're saying 35% this year, that's even worse. It's just, if you look at the money supply charts, it's called the M1. If you Google M1 money supply, you can see it's a hockey stick. It just goes and goes. And yeah, Cash Society will be crashing very soon. Southern Kentucky here too. I'm 45 minutes north of Nashville. AT&T cell phones and Wi-Fi are still out. So how is that Wi-Fi out? So so how are you online right now? Because I've heard this from so many people. How can your Wi-Fi be out if it's a hard line coming in? So Amy Gunther says 35% too. That's amazing. So if it's a hard line coming in, like a DSL line or cable line, and it comes to your router, your Wi-Fi, that means your router's out, I'm assuming. I had COVID in November. It wasn't very bad. Yeah, because if people who are normally healthy people, it's not even going to bother you. I also saw 35%. So I guess I'm wrong. I was pretty sure they said 25%. So maybe they were off. That's even worse. AT&T provides broadband. Okay. So how does I guess, was all their servers in those buildings? I don't know how that worked. I haven't watched too much of it. I just knew it was some kind of crazy kook. But there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about that too. Was it really just that, or was there a certain target there? All kinds of conspiracy. Every time something happens, there's conspiracy theories galore everywhere. How cell and internet service infrastructure? Yes, the router is out. So okay. Crazy. My parents witnessed the hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic. We face much worse. Yes, it is. The Weimar Republic, if you know history, was bad. What we had in the United States during the 1920s was a deflationary event. What we're about to enter now is an inflationary event. And inflationary events, both of them are really bad, okay? A deflationary event is when there is no money. An inflationary event is when there's so much money you have to carry it around in wheelbarrows. And that's what we're getting ready to experience. And other places have experienced this as well, places like the Weimar Republic in recent history, where there's that famous story. I told it before. I'll tell it again because it's always a very interesting story. It was a bellboy in the 1920s in the Weimar Republic. Everything was going good in the 20s. Economies around the world were doing okay. We experienced a deflationary event. Weimar Germany experienced an inflationary event. Well, there was a bellboy working at a hotel, and in comes an American businessman one day, and the bellboy basically stayed with him the entire day and ran errands for him, and he had did some what do you call that when you send him on errands? What's that word? There's a word you send people. Courier. Yeah, used him as a courier for the day, and he hired him from the hotel. And as a tip, at the end of the day, the American businessman gave him a $20 gold piece. Well, a couple years later, he saved that gold piece. That bellboy saved that gold piece and socked it away. And a couple years later, the inflation started happening, and it happened really fast. And this bellboy ended up buying the hotel at the height of the inflationary event in Weimar, Germany. He went into the hotel and he bought the hotel with that one $20 gold piece. He now became owner of the hotel because of that one. See, that tells you what inflation does. And it also tells you what assets hold their value during economic events like that. Things that are hard assets will hold their value. And that's the kind of, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm not telling you what to go out and buy. I'm not, I learned long ago, you don't ever give financial advice. But, I'm making certain decisions so that if this does come to pass, whether it's inflationary, because it could switch over to a deflationary. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be very much an inflationary event. But if you look up that story, it's true. True story. Another country that had massive hyperinflation in recent history was Zimbabwe. Have you ever seen those? I used to own some of those $10 trillion bills. It was a $10 trillion bill. And they were very popular, and I bought a stack of them, and not a stack, I bought like 5 or 6, small stack. And I always joke with people, I'm a trillionaire because I own $10 trillion bills. I was 5 or 6 $10 trillion bills from Zimbabwe. I ended up selling them on eBay a number of years later because they had gone up in value and people were buying them for like $500 or $200 a piece or something like that. And I ended up selling them all on eBay because they became very rare. They sold out. So many people wanted them. Anyway, so you had Zimbabwe, and then you have Argentina. Argentina went through a pretty big deflationary event. Venezuela is going through inflationary event right now. Both of them have gone. Argentina went through inflationary, and now Venezuela is going through inflationary event. But you don't think because you're an American and that you've never known hunger and you've never known hard times that you can't go through this. It's mathematically impossible for there either to be an inflationary or a deflationary event. It's mathematical certainty at this point. They can stop the inflation by stop printing money, but then you'll go right into a deflationary event. And that both of them are going to be horrible. Both of them are absolutely horrible. Yeah, buy animals, gardens, livestock, having to own some land, somewhere if possible. Those are all things that can get you through this a hard time. Being out of debt, get out of debt. If it's inflation, your debt will inflate away. You won't have a lot of debt because if you say owe $100,000 on a house, and we have a massive inflationary event, and it now costs $100,000 for a carton of eggs, well then you can just pay off your debt. All the debt gets inflated away. It goes away. And not only that, but they're going to now pump in another $1 trillion into the economy. Biden says one of the first things he does when he gets into office is he's going to get rid of all student debt. That's another topic I could talk about. And that it's going to be like over $1 trillion of student loan debt that will just be gone. And that's actually money that goes into the economy because you can't. That's actually debt that's going to. There are creditors that have to be paid. It's not just deleting in the spreadsheet or hitting the delete key. So that right there is they're gonna print so much money when Biden if Biden gets into office. And I know everyone's waiting until January 6th to see what happens, but crazy. Yeah, I was gonna vote for Elizabeth Warren. I said, if she'll get rid of my student loan debt, I will vote for her. I'm kidding. Calm down. But still, see, I don't mind paying my student loan back. What I don't like is the criminal interest rates that they tag you with and how they punish you when you try to pay the debt off early. If you try to pay more than the interest, you try to get ahead on your loan, they penalize you and they tack on more fees and you have to pay more money. Tim, my father-in-law, would come back to me so frustrated sometimes. He'd try to pay off more, and just the runaround they would play on you and the penalties they would put on you for trying to get ahead of your loan and pay off stuff sooner. It's like you're digging out of a hole, but they keep shoveling, dirt on top of you. I hate that. I think that it's criminal what they do. Absolutely criminal. Owning land is great until you can't pay taxes. See, but that's the thing. If you can get your land to produce, even if it's livestock, you can find enough money to pay taxes. Especially if you live in places where the tax rate is so low. Like around here, property taxes are low. We have high sales taxes. Our sales tax right now is like 10.5%. That's high. But our property taxes, it's like a couple $100 a year, maybe a little like less than 300 or so. And you're talking to people who have thousands of dollars every year of property taxes. This is nothing. But you got to move to a rural area. But if you live somewhere else and you own the land, but they're going to slap you with a $10,000, $5,000 property tax bill, yeah, you're in trouble. Yeah, I think you're right. Prepper R.D. Franklin, the plan is designed to destroy the U.S. And I think this is part of George Soros's plan. I think there's a lot of people planning for this. It's a mess. We're living in a giant mess, and there's just not a lot we can do about it. All we can do is watch the show and try to get through it as best we can. So, it's really, really easy to feel defeated. It's really, really easy to feel like there's no hope, but there's always hope. So don't feel depressed. Don't get those defeated feelings, because I really, truly believe you're going to come out of this okay. It's going to be rough. There's going to be tough times. But we've been through tough times before, and you'll do okay. If you keep your head about you and you try to be smart, you're going to do okay. And, never give up. It's, the one thing about homesteading we've said before on our channel is it's about attitude. We've seen so many homesteaders who try to homestead and they don't make it because they didn't have the right attitude. They didn't have the attitude that, listen, times are going to get tough. I think the first year we lived out here, we ate nothing but, oatmeal and beans and rice, because we didn't have a lot of money, and we were trying to put every dime into $300 per acre. No. Celtic roots. No. $300 total. $300 for everything. I live on 56 acres, if that gives you a hint. So, yeah, like less than $300 for everything. $300 an acre. That would be horrible. But yeah, you got to keep a positive outlook. You can't feel defeated. It is the way it is, and you'll get through it. We'll all get through it. Start chopping broccoli. I don't know what that means. Yeah, like Revelation says, hold out till the end. Most student loans are from women. I didn't know that. Is that true? Property taxes in Illinois, $110,000 house on 1/8 of an acre equals $3,200 a year. Yikes. That's like insane. I shame people who wear masks. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I make fun of people to their face. I'm like, what do you want a mask for? What are you scared of? What are you scared of? Don't be so scared. I mean, are you healthy? Do you eat? I mean, do you have some secondary condition? You have some comorbidity? Then you're okay. You're going to be fine. Yeah, Missouri has very good property taxes for the most part. In the cities, it's a little different. But yeah, Missouri's pretty good. What do we do when the food runs out? Eat your neighbor. I'm just kidding. Hopefully the food won't run out. You keep growing. You have a garden. You learn to can. You learn to preserve. You learn to cure. Those things will get you through the hard times of winter when food runs out. Yeah, that's the thing. Suicides will outnumber deaths attributed to COVID-19 by far. Folks, if you think this virus has been tough, wait till hyperinflation hits. You ain't seen nothing yet. You will have bodies on the streets. When this first came out, do you remember that? They said millions of Americans would be dead. They said there would be bodies in the streets. And remember, they showed you those images from China where there's a guy laying in the street. People just walking by. Guy is supposedly dead from COVID-19. They said that was coming to America. And they used that to instill the fear of this virus. And I mean, it even scared me. I mean, I saw all these images. I mean, I remember I'm wiping down my counter with some, disinfectant stuff. And I'm trying to, be cautious. I'm scared about this stuff too. I mean, I got taken in by all this. And then I realized, you know what? As time went on, this is a bunch of nonsense. There's been no millions of Americans dead. There's been, the numbers we know are inflated. We know people are coming out and they're whistleblowing. They're saying, hey, listen, the hospitals are inflating the numbers. If you could get hit by a truck and they'll list you as a COVID death. You could get shot by a gun. I showed you the article last week where the coroner came out and said, hey, this is not right. These people who died from gunshot wounds, they died because of gunshot wounds. They didn't die of COVID. But the state listed them as COVID deaths. The numbers are inflated. There has not been bodies in the streets, but you have massive hyperinflation show up, there will be bodies in the streets. There will be bodies in the streets. Left my nursing job because of the vax. There was I've known some people who've done that. They've had to leave their nursing job. I feel sorry for people. There's so many people in the medical industry in this country, and they are just going to put the screws to you guys. I really worry about it. You're going to have to make the decision. COVID is the common cold. Yeah, basically. COVID is not the common cold. Yeah, I disagree. This is not something. No. It's all right. I don't agree. Oops, hit the wrong button. Back to student loan. Is Biden talking about all student? I think it's federal loans, not private. See, that was the thing. Like, I have most of my loans are in private loans. I'm SOL. I'm just gonna be out of luck. I'm not gonna be able to. I have a little bit of federal loans, but most of mine are in private loans. Other than that, I'm debt free. Oh man. Lead and brass equals COVID. Well, that's the thing, people forget. People, I think, fail to realize sometimes that when diseases like this happen, there are two things I want to talk about. So when things like this happen, they go through a community or they go through a society, it always takes off the weak and the people who have the least healthy. It's the same way with the animal world. You have herds of animals, and when disease comes through, it always takes out the weak first, and that allows the more stronger ones to survive and thrive because you've killed off the weak. And it's the ones who are the least healthy who are being affected by this. We know that for a fact. There's no doubt about this. It's affecting the elderly, those with comorbidities. Those are the people who are the most at risk. And it's that way whenever a disease hits any population, whether it's animal or human. So I think this is way overblown. But there is a plan here. There's a plan by people to instill fear in this country. Why? Why is that happening? But yeah, this is normal for, I had this book I had purchased a couple years ago. Me and Jamie went to a bookstore. She had really wanted to visit this bookstore. It was like right before her surgery, her first surgery she had. And I bought a book, and I forgot how it was called. It was called Cleanliness is Next to Godliness. It was written back in like the 1920s. And the author has just a fantastic sense of humor. Anyway, in this book, he's talking about how throughout the ages, most of Christianity thought it was a sin to take a bath. They thought it was a sin to be clean, to wash your hands. Do you remember Dr. Semmelweis, whatever his name was? The first doctor, he was a maternity ward doctor who, someone will put him in the comments what his name was. He somewhere over there in Europe. He basically said we should start washing our hands because he had a high morbidity rate of the women who are coming in and giving birth. The physicians who were attending these women were not washing their hands, and he had a lot of his women who were dying. He had a second maternity ward who was only attended by midwives, and they were fine. They had really no problems. But this other one who was being attended by the physicians, they were coming in, not washing their hands, and they were just before this dealing with dead bodies, and some of the women who were giving birth were dying. And he said, you know what, maybe we should start washing our hands. Let's see, anybody put his name in there yet? I don't see it. What did they do to this doctor who had the audacity to suggest that we wash our hands before we deal with our patients? They put him in Semmelweis. Yeah, Ignaz Semmelweis, that's it. They put this doctor in a mental institution because he had the audacity to suggest that we wash our hands before we deal with patients. They put him in a mental institution. They eventually killed him. They beat him to death. Folks, that has been the mentality. If you go back throughout history and you look at how horrible these past viruses and these past pandemics have been, it was during a time when people didn't know to wash their hands. Even back in the 1920s, the Spanish flu, people back then didn't really know about germs yet. It was something that was a conspiracy theory. Do you mean tell me there's little germs on me? Shut up. They didn't know this stuff. And so today we have all kinds of disinfectant. You can make your own disinfectant. People know it's a good idea to take a bath. It's a good idea to wash your hands. It's a good idea, to cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Those are things that people today do that no one throughout history has ever done. And today we do these things. Whatever pandemic comes out, we have gained so much knowledge about germs and how germs work and how disease works. These things are not going to be catastrophic. We have a lot of basic knowledge today that we did not have 100 years ago, 500 years ago, when all of these historical events took place, when it comes to pandemics. Yes, Semmelweis, Ignaz Semmelweis. This guy had the audacity to suggest that we wash our hands, and they threw him in a mental institution. And we've learned a little bit since then. We've learned something. So what's the point of the vaccine? There is no point. There is no point. If you take care of your body, you eat right, you exercise, you're in overall good health, you can be, pretty much obese today and still, as long as you eat sort of regular and take some sort of care for your body, wash your hands, maybe take a shower every once in a while, you're probably going to be okay. I mean, I think about, I won't go there. I won't go there. Politicians are the virus. I would say politicians just get scared like everyone else. I would say the media is the virus. The media is controlled by George Soros and other people. It's the media who's the virus. That's the real virus. If we knew, if we would just understand, we have so much knowledge when it comes to controlling disease and cleanliness and hygiene, we'd understand that there is no danger here. Unless you're really, if you have some sort of comorbidity, there's no danger here. Insane, absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do. It's 9:22. We've been on here for almost an hour. I'm going to check out. I'm glad you guys tuned in with me tonight, Sunday night. We'll do it again probably next Sunday unless something comes up. But I appreciate you guys. You will own nothing and be happy. That's where it's going. You will own nothing and you will be happy. All right, guys. Oh. There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. And I got some more videos coming out this week. We're going to be putting out a lot of videos this week. We're going to be juicing some sugarcane. Don't miss that. It'll be probably online sometime Tuesday. And the other channel has a whole bunch of videos coming out tomorrow. So if you've been paying attention, you know what those videos are. They'll be out tomorrow. In fact, they're on the website right now. On that website. All right, guys. See you next time on the Homestead. Bye.